As we approach the 5th anniversary of 9/11, we are remembering many of the Massachusetts victims and those they left behind. Tonight's story of tragedy and hope is from a person with a completely different perspective. My colleague Lisa Hughes was in New York City when the World Center attacks took place. For the rest of the week, she reported from Ground Zero. But there's another part of her story that until now has remained untold. For the first time, Lisa and her husband share an intimate, very personal story of loss and hope.
If you had told me 5 years ago, 4 years ago, here's how your life is going to go. You're going to meet this man who lost his wife because of the tragedy of September 11th. You're going to marry him and become a mom. I would have said, are you serious? You'll never forget what it was like that day. It was crystal clear. It was a perfect day. I remember at Logan getting up to the Delta counter and she said, we can put you on the earlier flight, so just go right on through. I was sitting by the window and the approach to LaGuardia took us right over Manhattan. And I remember looking out the window, flying right over the towers and thinking, my God, that is the most beautiful skyline. And I'm looking at the towers and I'm on the phone and I'm seeing this big cloud of smoke and I hear people screaming in the newsroom through the phone. And whoever was on the phone with me that morning said, Lisa, go straight to CBS, another plane just hit the other tower. As a journalist, you felt that your life raft in this situation, amid all of this destruction and this sadness, was to just do your job. Because there were so many moments when you felt you were on the verge of completely breaking down into tears. Most notably when people would come up to you with those posters of their loved ones and say, could you put this picture on TV? It was when I got back to Boston, though, that the enormity of the loss hit me. Because I knew that the two planes were from Boston. I hadn't seen the pictures of the people in Boston. But it was made so real.
She was just a delight, and she was radiant, and just had the ability to light up a room. Neely was a part of my life for almost 15 years. I met her in college, and we dated after college, and then we got married, and we were coming up on our 5-year anniversary. So Neely had started at TJX in a new job just 6 weeks prior to September 11th. They asked her to come along to Los Angeles to scout stores on the West Coast. The interesting thing was that I had never been with Riley on my own. And any time someone's traveling, you're always wondering, you know, what they're going to be up against in terms of weather. And I said, Riley, it's a great day for Mommy to fly. I got in my car, and I was listening to BZ Radio.
Folks, we have an incredible story unfolding.
And it was close to 10 o'clock, and Jay McQuaid came on and said, you know, bad news, the planes are out of Boston. And he said the flight number. And I just kind of stopped and went, uh-oh, how many flights are leaving Boston to L.A.? And all I knew was that Neely was gone. All of a sudden, I'm that guy who you don't think you're going to be. I had a lot to manage, I guess, the best way of describing it. I would jokingly call myself Neely's apprentice. You know, I kind of knew the ins and outs of changing the diapers and buying the correct formula and, you know, all the things that go with raising a 6-month-old. It gave me purpose each day. You know, at 7 o'clock each morning, little Riley would cry and she was ready for the day, so I didn't have a choice but to be ready for the day with her. I did not want to be defined by 9/11. It was something that I set out to overcome. I was so impressed with Lisa, you know, as a person who, she had her own experience with 9/11, and it was very different than mine. But we had 9/11 in common. She understood my place with 9/11 and with Neely, and being a widower with a little girl and kind of rebuilding my life. And it takes a certain person, and a strong person, to be able to come into a person's life like mine.
The first time I came into Mike's house and I saw all the photographs of Neely, I thought, I don't know if I can do this. But again, I kept coming back to the fact, I think, well, if he can handle it, if he can be on a date with somebody, if he can open up his life, then, I need to get a little tougher here. He didn't deny his grief. He honors the memory of this woman in such a beautiful way, and she clearly has contributed to who he is.
Hi, honey.
How's the first day? Now I'm a wife and a mother. There would be moments where I'd be with Riley and I'd trip with the stroller when she wasn't in it, thank goodness, and I'd be spilling coffee and I'd think, okay, if Neely is watching this right now, she is like, oh my gosh, you are such a klutz. At
Neely's Mass, we handed out a note card, which we called the Dear Riley card, so that friends could write a note to Riley about Neely. So we have about 250 of those locked away in a safe for Riley to open up someday. When that is, we don't know, but we'll know when the time is right. I think Riley's in a great place today. She's 5 and a half. She is as bright and happy as I've seen. She is very comfortable knowing that she has a mother in heaven and that she has a mother here in this house. And we tell her how lucky she is because of that.
I think things changed for me and for a lot of people on that day, and despite all of the sadness, I think it made me appreciate life that much more. And I don't think I take things for granted. I think, today is a gift.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I say it's alright.
I know this wasn't easy, but I'm really glad you shared the story.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike and I debated this for a while because it is personal, and because, as far too many families here know, it's also terribly painful. It's a loss that you live with every day, but it's also about healing, and it just seemed the right time to open up.
We're going to be talking to other families as well, left behind by those who were killed on that day 5 years ago. I know you're going back to New York City on assignment.
We'll be broadcasting starting on Sunday night, and it will be my first trip back to Ground Zero since the day after the attacks.
All right, Lisa, thank you. Thanks. We'll be right back.